This is Critical Commentary with Maurice Williams. Today we're going to cover Donald Trump calling Americans stupid, Donald Trump's ongoing feud with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Nick Fuentes' continuing feud with MAGA. Blacks, Hispanics, and whites can't read. Why do you think I started a podcast? It's a fucking racist thing with you niggas, and that's why I'm coming at you niggas next. They love to talk about black violence. Have you heard of white violence? White people commit violent crime at 3 times the rate of Asians. When is Nick Fuentes going to talk about white violence? Everybody's arguing about their 2 genders. I sat next to a hermaphrodite in math class. Am I allowed to talk about the Jews? If she wanted, we could do it in the morning. Yawning, letting my eyes stretch, baby, I ain't a novice. I've been a dog, she FaceTime, but I never call. Laura Ingraham, of Fox anchor, interviewed Donald Trump, and one of the topics that came up in the interview was H-1B visas. So H-1B visas are a type of visa that they give immigrants, usually people who do high-skilled jobs or have a specific task that they're very good in and that they're providing service to Americans. When this came up, Laura, who's not for legal or illegal immigration, when this topic came up, her and Trump kind of had a little back and forth. So I'll play that for you guys right now.
Never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it?
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
When we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it.
So I understand what Laura's saying. In terms of the American economy, the more Americans working, the better for the American citizens as well as the American economy. And I do believe that there are many Americans who could do some of the jobs that the immigrants are doing. But on the flip side, what Trump is trying to point out to Laura is that some of these people who are currently unemployed don't have the skill set to do some of the labor jobs. And he didn't specifically say it in this interview, but some of the jobs require high cognitive function. And we have intelligent people in America, but what Trump is saying is we're competing against the world stage. So we have to consider that East Asians on average and per capita do have more intelligence than Europeans as well as Africans. So because of this, he believes, and others like myself believe, we should let in H-1B visa immigrants because we want to be able to not only just compete, but be the best country in the world. And to do so, we have to have the best and brightest minds. So on the one hand, what Laura is saying makes sense, and we do need to focus on that. We need to get more Americans back to work, and some of these labor force jobs Americans can do. Also, there are Americans who can do the highly skilled jobs that require like high function, high intelligence. But Americans need to be working harder in school and preparing more for this. So in preparatory schools, etc., gifted schools, etc., we need to have an emphasis on making sure our brightest students go into some of these technology, science, and innovative fields. That way we won't have to accept as many immigrants. So I get both sides, and basically this is one of those situations where Trump is kind of moving against how he was in 2016, where he was America first, where he was pushing for the forgotten American. Now that he's in office, he sees some of the problems from a more diverse perspective, and that's why he's saying we need some of these H-1B visas. Now, moving on, another situation which Trump has been getting a lot of flack from the right. So Trump is now getting a lot of flack from the right. Him and Marjorie Taylor Greene have a feud. Now, this feud is based upon the Epstein Files, but later on in the show, you may see that some of the feuding is also personal. But in terms of the Epstein Files, people like Thomas Massie, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene on the right, as well as many people on the left, they're saying we need to release the Epstein Files so we can find out what politicians, etc., may have been involved in abusing minors in conjunction with Jeffrey Epstein. Trump said he would do so, but hasn't released the files as of yet. Of course, the Democrats see it as a political win, But Republicans, too, are saying that because of the serious nature of the crimes and allegations, both sides have agreed that they believe that we need to get the information out about the files. So I will play what Marjorie said.
Begin with the release of the Epstein Files, the vote to release those files. You are on the side of releasing them, and you're on that side despite President Trump saying that only a very bad or stupid Republican would be standing where you are. Why is this so important to you?
It's for the victims. These women have been waiting, some of them for decades. I talked to several victims that were raped by Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s. And so this is information that has needed to come out for a very long time. And the American people have demanded it. And so the American people deserve to see transparency from their government. Rich, powerful people should not be protected. That is completely wrong. And it's a message to victims everywhere, victims of rape, human trafficking, and children who are trapped in terrible situations, that the government will not protect the predators, that we will work hard to protect the victims.
And most Americans, as well as politicians, as I've said, guys, are standing with Marjorie on this issue. We need the files out. She says she's specifically spoken to some of the victims, and that's why she's taking such a strong stance against Trump. It's odd because Trump ran on releasing the files, but now he's calling people like Marjorie stupid for trying to get them out, and he's saying that it's a Democratic hoax, because what he thinks is, and it is big news, is since his name was in some of the files that were released, and people are tying him and Clinton to Jeffrey Epstein, which people already knew they were friends, but because they're tying him with Jeffrey Epstein, Trump is just seeing it from the standpoint, oh, what are they going to find out about me? But it's way larger than that. And actually information has been coming out that victims have been saying that Trump, the victims themselves, have been saying that Trump didn't do anything wrong, and multiple times Trump tried to help. So he's mentioned about how he found out what Epstein was doing, and I said, well, is this in relation to him finding out Epstein was trying to take his workers? But it's coming out now that the victims themselves are saying there have been a few times when Epstein was trying to do things, and Trump, not in the act, tried to help them, but Trump tried to help those girls get out of working for and being around Jeffrey Epstein. So in both situations, I can't say whether Trump knew that the girls were minors or whether he knew exactly what was happening to them. But these girls have gone on record stating that Trump was kind to them in their interactions with Trump, and that he was more so trying to get the women out of whatever situation he knew of. I don't want to speculate on what he knew. So it's somewhat ironic now finding out that if the victims are speaking positive about Trump, you would think he would want the information to come out. But as of now, for whatever reasons, he's against this. There will be a vote coming up at some point, because by this being a situation where both sides agree, the Democrats have filed the petitions and the necessary procedures to get a vote on the floor. And Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been start getting the votes together for the House. So they believe they have enough votes on both sides to get this passed, to get the files released. And once the House votes, it's going to go to the Senate. Now, one of the questions with the Senate is they're not sure. The Republicans haven't counted the votes with the senators, so they're not 100% sure that the Republicans will go against Trump. But what the House believes is that if enough Republicans put pressure on them, the senators would take it as a message from the people saying, okay, the people on the ground in our state are saying they want these files out. And because of this, they believe they'll have bipartisan support to get these files released. Potentially sometime this week. We'll keep you guys updated on the release of the files, as well as the procedural aspects, to see if and when it gets to the floor. But I wanted to show also the responses from Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene in terms of the actual feud. So besides what I already played, there were some more instances where Marjorie Taylor Greene put out some text about what Trump was saying, and Trump continued on his technology and social media platform to take more digs at Marjorie.
On Trump's bad side. She has been one of the most vocal Republicans calling for the full release of the Justice Department's investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein. And now President Trump tonight is unendorsing. He is withdrawing his endorsement of Marjorie Taylor Greene and writing on Truth Social that this. All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. And then he added that I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. There was a lot there. So you can go and then talk about a lot. Then MTG fired back with screenshots of text messages that she claims where she claims that Trump is lying and that she did not call him, also saying that it is astonishing, really, how hard he is fighting to stop the Epstein Files from coming out. She argued that she has been one of Trump's strongest supporters, but that she doesn't, quote, worship or serve Donald Trump. On top of
Now, this is speaking about the feud, so it's a very nasty feud, as this reporter said, between two people who were considered colleagues, friends, not just cordial. She was one of Trump's biggest supporters in his reelection, etc. So because of the magnitude of this situation, they're at odds, and Trump stated on social that she was lying, but she came with the receipts, and she's saying, no, I have text messages showing that what you're saying about me is not true. Now, this is important outside of just the context of the feud, because it's showing that Trump, who was already widely popular with Republicans, but then won re-election, not just with the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote against Kamala Harris. He was getting young voters. He was getting more blacks. He was getting Hispanics. I believe he got half of the Hispanics, which is high for Hispanics. And he got like maybe 25% of the black vote. So that's high for black people voting for Republicans for like historical reasons. So Trump was doing well. Now, I'm not saying that people don't still like Trump, and not saying that he's not polling decent with the American population, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is kind of exposing and bringing to light a rift that Trump is having. We know about it with the Groypers, and that's America First. But then Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I wouldn't consider a Groyper, right? She's more in politics, not so much the cultural aspect. She's also against Trump. So Trump is having a pinned against him, at least on this topic. So Trump, at the current moment, is fighting a lot of fires. The Democrats are coming at him as well as some of the Republicans. So this kind of infighting is going to make it hard for Republicans during the midterm elections to keep the House, to keep the Senate. But then also later on in 3 years, they may also have trouble with the presidency, because who's going to be the face of the party and what direction is the party going to be going is currently having a civil war. And this fraction, the Republicans having different factions and being split apart, it may cause them to not be able to raise as much money as they need, but it also may cause the voters to not be sure that they all want to be aligned with the Republican Party. So this, outside of the feud, is also going to have political ramifications in the future if the Republicans aren't able to unify and stick to one message for their constituency as well as the American people. Sorry, guys. Sinuses. I ran across a clip of AOC, and we covered her last week, so I just wanted to check out and see what she's talking about. Hopefully I had this teed up correctly, guys.
They talk about Republicans and their success online. They have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe. That women are inferior, they do not deserve equal rights. That they believe that LGBTQ Americans are subhuman, that they believe and are circulating disgusting racial and white supremacist messaging that they are able to get away with digitally and online. And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys in particular away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide us. And why to divide us? So that the same people who own those platforms, people like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, that these people can continue to get away with highway robbery in tax cuts and in order to fleece all of our pockets, cut our health care, keep our wages low so that we remain fighting amongst ourselves while they make themselves richer. And so in order for us to fight back against that, we must be clear about what we believe, have strong beliefs, and also be completely unwilling to bow to that kind of division and stand in solidarity with one another, especially when it is someone whose culture is different from ours or whose background we may not entirely understand, but that we honor, love, and see as our fellow Americans.
Okay, I didn't realize that clip was so long. Sounds like she may be running for president or something, but she said so much, right? Some of the things she said I thought were accurate, some were inaccurate. I kind of feel like what she did was she discussed the Republicans as a whole, but kind of more so talking about a faction inside the Republicans, because I wouldn't say Republicans are about white supremacy. I wouldn't have said that Republicans are like anti-LGBT to the extent she was saying. And I wouldn't have said that Republicans are just out here making the worst racial jokes. I would actually say that both sides have their extreme factions that make jokes. So to me, it's more so, if you're going to look at the Republicans, yes, it on the Republican side is more jokes and disgusting rhetoric about brown people, poor people, black people, Jewish people, and immigrants. So generally speaking, I could see how she could say it, but she left out the part that on the right, they're saying bad things about the Republicans, whether it's Christians, whether it's white people, whether it's white males, whether it's heterosexuals, right? So you have jokes and people saying disgusting things on both sides, and it would be nice if the politicians didn't always make it about a sides thing, and they just said that maybe both sides or the factions that are doing this should cut it out. She also brought up some interesting things about Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk. And she's saying that a lot of these things that are happening, she's saying that it's being done. She said to hold up white supremacy. I don't want to say that because, again, I'm not trying to paint Republicans as racist. But she said that the wealthy people, and I did find credence with this, she's saying that what the wealthy people are doing, and some people are going to say it's Israel, people who are Israeli or Zionists are connected to Jews, but Elon Musk is not Jewish. She's saying that wealthy people are trying to have people fight amongst themselves so that they can do things that help them in terms of taxes, right? So the tax cuts from the big, beautiful bill, they did help working class Americans, but they help the wealthy people more, right? So even though the middle class may have received something from it, the people who are the wealthiest receive the most. So basically what she's trying to say is that she believes that the wealthy class is helped more so by the Republicans rather than the Democrats, because when you're cutting taxes, which are going to help people who have money. The people with more money are helped by the taxes being cut. Then they're also trying to cut certain programs, whether it's healthcare. Food stamps is back running, but there's still a trillion. I can't remember the exact number, but there's still a certain amount of money that the Republicans are saying is wasteful in the welfare situation. So what AOC is trying to say is that the Democrats, and she didn't explicitly state this, but she's trying to say that the Democrats are more so trying to help the poor and the working class, right? The majority of people work in America, and the majority of people are not upper class. So she thinks that it would help more people if benefits and programs, etc., were extended to the middle class or the working class. And that's how I kind of feel. I'm kind of in the middle, guys. The working class strong, middle class strong. Those are the two groups I want to focus on the most. We do need to make sure wealthy people don't take their investments outside of the nation. I understand that. And we do need to make sure that some of the people who are working but need welfare, etc., even public housing, but some of those people may not even be working. We do need to look out for these groups, but we need to understand that most people are in the middle. They're middle upper class or middle lower class, but they're in the middle. And that's what both sides should be focusing on. And I guess it's not as sexy, right? So because it's not sexy, the politicians aren't focusing on it as much. They're focusing on the rich and they're focusing on the poor because I guess they draw the most headlines. So we're going to move on into what Nick Fuentes has said over the weekend. He said a few things, so we're going to have to continuing to cover Nick daily because he says a lot of things, guys. So this first one seems to be, America first. So this is more about his feud with MAGA. There are two hats. And then there's a Jewish flag next to MAGA, so I guess he's tying in MAGA to Israel now. Let's see what he said, though.
You have MAGA on the one side, and what does this even stand for anymore? You got MAGA on one side. What does that even mean? Make America great for who? Make it great for Israel, Indian immigrants, Chinese students, illegal immigrant farm workers. Make America great again for them. Make Israel great. Make America great for the global empire, defense contractors, big pharma, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, Palantir. You got MAGA on the one side, and like I said, Brandy Fine, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. And then on the other side, you got America first. No ambiguity, no ifs, ands, or buts. What does that mean? America first, Americans first, America only. America first is our credo. Americanism, not globalism, is the credo. Tucker, Fuentes, Candace, Marjorie, Thomas Massey, Dan Bilzerian, Myron, Jake Shields, Lucas Gage, all the greats, all the usual suspects. That's the question. Aiden Ross, Sneeko. Yay. This is the dichotomy. What are you for? Are you with America first or are you with MAGA? I think after this month, after this year, 2025 is the year that MAGA died. This is the year that this hat is no longer controversial. The hat is not edgy. The hat is not provocative. It doesn't even mean anything. This hat is dead. This hat is dead. Now, metaphorically speaking, and this is the future. America first is the future. Explicit, unambiguous, direct, actually has denotative meaning. America first is the credo. This is
Okay, guys, a bunch of things. He's talking about the MAGA feud with America First, which he's on the America First side. He started naming people, right? Jake Shields. He started naming Myron Gaines, etc. Dan Bilzerian, Candace Owens. He also stated who he believes is on the MAGA side. He said Peter Thiel. He said Chinese immigrants. He said Indian immigrants. So my thing is, I like a few people and a few groups on both sides, right? I can see why, as we discussed earlier in the episode, I can see why some of the immigrants are necessary for the low skill jobs and high skill jobs. Also, America, I always believe, is diverse because when the Europeans came, they already had the Native Americans. The Europeans chose to bring African slaves, and then there were two sets of Europeans who come here. I don't know how much people think about this, but there were the northern ones from Britain, but there were also the southern ones from Portugal and Spain. So they've always been a mix of people coming to this land, as I just stated. So because of this, when he's making some of the comments about immigrants coming, I feel like those immigrants do have a heritage here and a history here, just like British people have, right? And I think that the new world is a place of opportunity and just everybody should have been welcome and should still be welcome. But I do also understand his concern that you don't want, because of genetics, etc., you wouldn't want America to turn into a place where whites currently are at 50%, right? And I think throughout history, they actually were around 50, 60%, because I don't go with a lot of the bullshit they say online where they say America used to be 80% white. I think that was when they were counting Hispanic people as white, because as I've said on other episodes, the Southwest and the South was always Hispanic. They just counted them as white people. They fought a big war and the Hispanic people pretty much stayed, right? So from my understanding of the situation, America has mostly been 50. When I say America, not just the Northeast, because that's where America was, but as they expanded, the territory of America was always like 50 to 60% white. They always had 10% black in terms of the whole geography, not the census. But then they had Hispanics, and they also had Native Americans, which I count as these Asians. So because of that, I can't go with Nick from that side. I can't agree with him on that point, what he was trying to say about MAGA. However, with America first, I'm an American. He says that we should be considering Americas before the interests of foreign governments. Usually he means Israel, but even outside of Israel, I agree with him, right? I do believe that the job of the president would be to focus on the problems that are domestic more so than the problems that are foreign. American people's day-to-day lives are impacted by the policies of the Republican Party and the legislature and the legislation that the Congress puts forth. So the main meat and potatoes issues right now for people are the wages are rising slowly, but the cost of everything is rising exponentially. So we have to find a way to get workers more money, or we have to find a way to lower the cost. Also, healthcare, not blaming Obama, but under the universal healthcare system, the healthcare costs have risen more than they were rising before he was in office. And they were rising before he got in office. We have to figure out a way, whether it's private industry or it's the government and public funds, or maybe it's some kind of hybrid, right? I'm all into agreements, right? So both sides have not really come up with, to me, a tangible solution. And because of that, I think instead of both sides fighting, I think they need to put their minds together and figure out how we're going to fix the situation. But because of that, I do understand where Nick is coming from. He's saying that there's too much focus being put on domestic issues and things that'll help. I say rich people. Again, he thinks that it's Zionist. He thinks that that focus is not good for America, and I agree. So I'm not going to say I'm America first or I'm MAGA because I don't think I fit into either of those boxes. But I do think what's going on with the Republicans is not healthy for the Republicans. The rift will help hurt them politically, but I think it's healthy for America. I think these ideas are important, and I think that first, the Republicans need to figure out what they want their platform to be and what they want their brand to be. But even Democrats and moderates should be listening to this because we should also be paying attention to the foreign influence with Israel and other governments. But we also should be paying attention to the immigration. We need to know what's going on with this country, and we need to together decide like what we want, and that way we can make the country stronger as a whole. And there's actually one more clip, guys. I hope I didn't rant too much that time, guys. But there's another clip. Oh, they are from the Fuentes page. They're from Kazir Reeve. Don't know who that is, guys, but you can follow them on X. This says Nick Fuentes talks about how much white people have been indoctrinated mentally. A lot of them are pussies and won't say the N-word, nigga or nigger. Oh man, one day I gotta do a deep dive on that word. That's why I'm WANGHAF, and I learned this last week, guys. That's white ass nigga going hard as fuck. So I will play this clip and then give you guys my thoughts.
I discovered you through your first appearance on the Hodge Twins podcast over a year ago. I've followed your work ever since. There are more young black men who resonate with your message than many might expect, like the Cartier family, for instance. Stay safe. God bless and America first.
Hey, we love the black people. We love the black people. I mean, we love all people. We just want to put America first. So I think a lot of blacks and Hispanics like it because they're not woke. White people are, whatever you want to say about them, they have been completely indoctrinated. Okay? And I love white people, and I'm pro-white, and I want the country to be white, but white people have been totally mind-raped by all of it. They are henpecked by their wives and girlfriends. Many of them are pussies. White people, won't say nigger. They won't say they were told they can't say it. So white people go, oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. It's a word. It's just you and me here, buddy. There's no black people that get offended. Okay, but it's like there's like a super ego that's been imposed on them. It's like they have the PC police inside their brain. And it goes with all of it about women, about minorities, and so that exists for whites in a way that it doesn't for blacks and Hispanics. Because blacks and Hispanics have this privilege. Nobody is policing what they say. They get to be ignorant. Black people can say whatever the fuck they want. Hispanics can say whatever they want. And they could do whatever they want. And white people are so over-socialized. And, they basically are beaten down. Like they have been beaten down and now are, they're afraid. They're afraid and kind of morally blackmailed in a way. And so that is what's holding a lot of white people back. They won't stick up for themselves. They won't take their own side. They won't fight for their own interest. Black people kind of say, shit, oh, he's racist. Oh, I'll let him say it to my face then, and white people are like, oh, you hate white people? Oh, that's okay. I hate white people too. You know what I mean? Like black people don't have that. Hispanics don't have that. Asians have a little bit of that. White people, it's very sad, but white people have a lot of that. We have to be realistic about our own problems, and that's a major problem for whites. You know what I mean? So it's good when a white person starts to say, they start to talk their shit. And I think, some black people are just anti-white. There's a lot of black people, they just hate white people. And they blame white people for everything. There's a lot of black people that are just not about the bullshit. Just like there's a lot of everybody that's like that, but whites have a problem with it. We have to acknowledge this. That's why we're white ass niggas going hard as fuck. I'm going hard as fuck. I'm white. I don't give a fuck. That's why I talk about women the way I do, Hitler the way I do. Like we don't care. Oh, Jews are gonna be mad. I don't give a shit. Oh, black people might be mad. I don't give a shit. Women, what are women gonna think? Who cares? I don't care. That's the vibe. That's where we are. We need more white men to think like this.
Groypers sent $20. Also,
So he touched on a few things in this I'll touch on too. He touched on the fact that there are black Groypers who support, there are black Groypers and there are black people who support his message. He brought up the Cartier family. I'm not sure if they're Groypers, but they're on the right side. I, as a black person, am aware that black people have many conservative values. And my issue with the Republican Party is knowing that black people are conservative about certain issues. Why is it that a lot of times when the Republican Party is talking about black people, they focus on issues that maybe the black community has that aren't in alignment with the Republican Party? They could focus, if they wanted to, on issues that they were in alignment with black culture, but they choose not to, and that's why they are framed as racist by many people, because it's a choice. So I'll bring up an example. Everybody says they notice black people on welfare because they're saying they see that the projects, etc., in major American cities are predominantly black. People talk about the murder statistics, etc. So people seem to notice when black people are doing something wrong. Well, if you look at Oakland, if you look at New York, if you look at Florida, if you look at Portland, if you look at Los Angeles, when you see a lot of these gay parades, LGBTQ things, you don't see this big swell of black people going around doing things. Obviously, when it's certain things that black culture is about, and not necessarily about, but that they're doing at a higher percentage than other people, you see these black people. So if you don't see black people somewhere that you're used to seeing them when they're doing things that you associate with blacks, and you don't see them, you have to start thinking, well, maybe the black culture is not the one pushing some of these LGBT issues, etc., right? These are issues that white people are pushing. They're white liberals, so Republicans will say that they're liberals, but you don't hear too many people, especially on the far right, saying, well, it's a white issue, the LGBT stuff that we're concerned about. Or again, I'll bring up the pedophilia stats, the child pornography. You have a high overrepresentation of white males. Again, these are issues that the Republicans and the alt-right is aware of, but they're choosing to stay silent because, in my opinion, from what I see, is they're aware that it's an issue, but their point, as AOC said earlier in the episode, was let's not highlight the problems of white people, because it's not about making America great again. It's not about making America strong again, or make America strong for everybody. Mace, I thought of the rapper, right? Make America strong for everybody. Mace. It's not about that. It's more so for them about demonizing every other group. So they want to demonize women as a whole. So they act like many women don't share conservative values. Many women believe in chivalry. They want their husbands to pay the bills. They want their husbands to take care of them, be leaders, etc., spiritually and economically. So it's not like women are against conservative values. Same thing as I brought up with blacks in terms of the LGBT community, but then Hispanics as far as like building and working. Whether they're illegal or illegal, people see that Hispanics are working hard, right? No one's stopping black people from working harder and getting off welfare, even though other groups are on welfare. No one's stopping white people from working harder. If they have immigrants here, if it's an open market, even though the illegal immigrants are supposed to hear it's an open market, you're capable of working, but you're choosing not to work and accept government handouts, right? So as Nick is saying, or has said in the past, you have a lot of people complaining, but these people are capable of doing the work. They're just choosing not to move from where they are and accept the government money, as opposed to moving to where the work is, which is what the illegal immigrants are doing. If they don't have the work home, they're coming here where there is work to do it. So I'm not saying I'm for illegal immigration, but I am pointing out that all these groups that complain, whether black, white, etc., your points can be valid, but other people are showing you that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is how much do you want it? If you want something, you go get it. Now, the second part that he was discussing was he was saying how white people are treated. I thought that was totally fair. I've noticed this my whole life. You have a situation where the groups that are supposedly victims, which I don't believe in that. That's why I say what I want, just like Nick. And what I just said earlier in this response is everybody has the capabilities to study. You can read, you can learn, you can do math. As long as you put your mind to it, you're capable of a lot of things, right? So what Nick was saying about white people was he's noticed because of the hit. He didn't bring this up, but I'll bring it up. White people in America are from Britain. Britain colonized much of the world. So Britain not only colonized North America, around Greenland, around New York and stuff, but they also tried to come to the South America, but they also went to Australia. That's why there are white people in Australia now. They also went to Africa, as people know, during the slave trade, and not just Britain, but also Southern Europeans. Basically, there was a conference in Europe where the Europeans decided, hey, we're going to get together and go invade another place where there are dark-skinned people, right? So These white people went, and I know people know this, they went, and specifically Britain went and invaded like a majority of the world, like India. Indians speak American British because the British had colonized India. The British colonized what is now Israel, Palestine, right? So these British people who are now saying immigrants are imposed, it's ironic to me. Immigrants are imposing themselves on Britain. Britain imposed itself on the entire world. Because you imposed yourself on the entire world and everybody felt like they were fucked over, killed, women were raped, etc. You did good things in terms of the capitalism you brought. I'm a Christian, even though Christianity would have existed without Europeans. It comes from the Middle East. But Christians did bring with them, British people did bring with them their religious beliefs, etc. I don't think that everything white people brought was bad. I just think that it's not an either or. There were good things white people did, but there were bad things white people did. Because of the bad they did, all of these other groups have called them out. We went through this in history. They used to spit on blacks, etc. People, I wasn't around for this, but I heard stories because my parents were, and my parents are just one generation above me. It's not just the water fountains, guys. The black people didn't have the education, weren't allowed to the same educational opportunities. They could work the same job but be paid less. They were spit on, etc., told to get on the back of the bus when they were paying the same taxes as everybody else. They were paying the same, but being treated like second-class citizens, right? This happened on Jim Crow for 100 years, right? We fixed this because of the problems. And what Nick is trying to say is that, okay, when we fixed the problems, it went overboard because then white people had to police themselves and they couldn't say what they thought. I think that it's fine for Nick to share his views. They're retarded. They're stupid. I think he's a retard, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody saying having an image and brand where he talks bad about women and blacks and Hispanics. Women are half the population. Blacks are 10%. Hispanics are 20%, right? Let these white people talk crazy about, let me do the math, 50, 10. That's 80% of the population, not even counting the white liberals, right? Because white people are pretty much split between conservatives and liberals, right? You got this dummy talking about 90% of the country in a negative way, saying he doesn't care. And then you have people talking about, well, he's going to get big and he's going to have this influence. Influence on who? He can only influence the group of people that fit the 10% that he likes, which is white people, white males, white Christians, white people, white males, white Christians, white heterosexuals. Heterosexual people. Majority of Americans don't rock with this guy because he has nothing but negative things to say about people. So again, he keeps saying America first, but it's really America first for the 10%. That was enough rambling from me, guys. I always got to balance myself. It's a push and pull with Nick. Smart guy, valid points. We can't overlook the racism, can't overlook the misogyny, can't overlook the Islamophobia, can't overlook the anti-Semitism, right? Smart guy, charismatic, a lot of problems, needs to grow up, needs to be a better person, needs to be more inclusive. You can always tell your jokes, bro, but you don't always have to be so hard on Jewish people. You don't always have to be so hard on blacks. You don't always have to be so hard on women. You do make jokes about white people when they disagree with you, right? But you could be hard on the people that actually agree with you, and you could tell jokes about your side and your beliefs. You never tell jokes about white heterosexual Christian males who believe what you believe. So maybe focus on your people and your group a little bit, and it might open you up. Focus on criticizing them, and it might open you up to a wider audience. But you don't have to take my advice, because as I've seen from a lot of the influencers, they think they know every fucking thing, but they could have more followers than they currently have by just opening up their ideas and beliefs to more people. But that's my 2 cents. Shout out to B Mike in New Orleans, who runs a nonprofit for helping a lot of black children and inner city people in New Orleans with education, arts, etc. I enjoyed this episode, guys. But if you enjoyed this episode, please leave comments. Let us know if there's something you want us to cover. Please share it with friends. Of course, smash that like button if you like the content. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Guys, got out here a little too quick. The producer reminded me not only that you guys should leave comments, but I need to read you guys' comments and respond. So here are a few. Oh, these are all from Nick. I guess there was a video. Nick Fuentes, the Constitution says citizenship is for white people only. Someone else said this, not Nick. Gray X Ghost, as a white American first nationalist, I want a strong black America. You're throwing me off. I just want a strong America for everyone. So these are all to the same video, so I won't keep saying the video. Suru Reed, don't stop being a victim or get off the internet. Do you seriously think people don't say shit about Nick that's way worse than lack of impulse control? You really have to dig for that victim narrative. Nick can, I don't know what I said in this, but Nick can say whatever the fuck he wants, but then people are going to criticize him back, right? So, no, I'm not going to get off the episode. I'm going to continue talking my shit, as Nick said. And then I don't believe I play victim at all. I try to be fair to whites, Asians, Hispanics, etc. What I want to do is get more information out to people. So all of these things that people focus on a lot of times with blacks, but also liberals, but also conservatives, also white people. Every single issue that all of these groups are trying to focus on, there's validity. And all I want is, instead of the two sides having their ears covered and not listening, I want people to listen and be better people and figure out, okay, where's my side right, where's my side wrong, where's and have the other side say the same thing. And what I want, again, I thought of this I guess today, but I want a Mace situation. I want to make America strong for everybody, because it is a diverse place and I believe we can all win. I'm an optimistic person. I'll read a few more. This is Casey of Efacito. White people looking for a savior so bad accepted Mexican Fuentes as their voice of reason. You can't make this shit up. And they got rumors that homeboys are homosexual, but I'll leave that to you guys' imagination. I do hope that he finds love, male or female. Whatever works for you, Nick, works for me. This one, since it's the other one was onto a few different videos. This is Oval Office expansion when Trump roasted Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar. The three of them have been having a back and forth. This is from Stony Burke 9799. Jasmine is unintelligent, low IQ scammer. Buddy, she does not know how to speak and she is a fraud on her constituents. She's the worst of the worst to try and represent black people. She's making the whole race look ignorant. A bunch to say about this. Have you watched the clips that we've posted of Jasmine? I'm sure you've seen the interviews we posted of Jasmine. Based upon your statement, you see the clips where she's talking ignorant, she's talking low class. I agree, there are times when she is ignorant and talks low class. So does Donald Trump, so does Nick Fuentes. Some people call Trump out for it. I feel like I'm the only person to call Nick out on the bullshit. Why can Nick talk black and no one else can talk black? And why, when Nick talks black, is it funny and acceptable, but when other people talk black, it's ignorant? You said that she's a low IQ scammer. I don't personally know her, so I don't know. She said she was doing a lot for her constituents and she keeps winning, but that does not mean she's actually helping them. So I would actually look more into her myself to find out if she's helping her constituency or if she's just doing this for her own political gain. And then as far as you saying she's unintelligent, I mean, clearly this woman is intelligent, just like Nick is intelligent. I think Nick and Jasmine are more intelligent than myself and Trump. She seems to be very versed with like standard British English, standard American English. She's obviously versed in Ebonics. She seems to understand the political environment and how the winds are blowing, etc. So I see why you have a bad view of her. I think that instead of just looking at clips, which I had to do with Nick, you may want to start looking into some of her longer interviews. This is to Nick Fuentes, Dear Black People, and I guess I'll end it with this one. Dear Black People, reaction. He said, Clark Phillips said he said the N-word. I don't know if you know Nick, but Nick drops says the N-word often. It bothers a lot of black people. It doesn't bother me. Again, maybe this week. I've been telling you guys over and over I want to go into this, but I do want to discuss this whole phenomenon with everybody saying nigger, N-I-G-G-E-R, is disrespectful. I don't believe it. I believe when I go over the etymology of the word, people will understand where it came from, who created it, etc. So, yeah, I will probably talk about that just because I do think the word is taboo and it should not be taboo. Now, guys, this really is the end of the show. So if you like this episode, hit the like button. If you have not already, subscribe so that you can see the new content that drops daily. And leave comments. As you see, I respond and we'll cover anything you guys want. Peace. See you guys tomorrow. If you like this video, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. New shows airing Monday through Thursday.